Hey guys, welcome back to our Lakeside Leadership Series. Tom Kitterman here with you. And it is summer 2019. It is definitely in summer mode. It was a beautiful hot day today. I'm in my tank top. Just came back from a dip in the pool. But we are ready to dip into the truth of God's existence here in our video number 3 in our series this summer. This one's called The 5 Questions That Prove Christianity is True. Part 1. Does God exist? This is the focusing on the cosmological argument. Now, remember in the introductory video, I asked you to open your mouth and say things that I say to repeat. What I'd like you to do is to practice saying the cosmological argument. Cosmological. Cosmological. Okay, cosmological, the cosmological argument. And that basically means the argument from the beginning of all things. All right? So here's where we're at in our study of the 5 questions. First, we established that truth does in fact exist. That's great groundwork because that allows us to now make clear, concise statements about the truth of God's existence. So again, either God exists or God does not exist. As we talked about last time, this is the law of non-contradiction. It's either A or non-A. Either God exists or he does not. There's no middle ground, which is called the law of excluded middle. Getting a little philosophy in here, that's all right, because you're going to need that in life. Everything that you do has philosophical underpinnings. You'll learn that as we go along. So anyway, if God exists, then there must be true things that you can say about God. Just like since I exist, there are true things that can be said about me. For example, my name, my place of birth, my age, my national heritage, etc., etc. There are a lot of true things about Tom Kitterman. I live in Nassau, New York. I have 2 natural sons. I have 2 stepdaughters. I have a beautiful wife named Diane. All those things you can say are true things about me. But if God exists, then conversely, there must also be false things that you can say about God. The opposite of true is false. We're going to focus on today the cosmological argument. And the cosmological argument is one of the easiest arguments to grasp about the truth of God's existence. And it has 3 basic statements, when taken together, constitute a proof. So here's how this works. Here are the 3 statements. The first one is this: everything that begins to exist has a cause. That's number 1. Let me repeat that. Number 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Number 2, the universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Let me go through that one more time. Number 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Number 2, the universe began to exist. Therefore, 3, the universe has a cause. Now, does this work? Well, here's the thing. You'll notice that if statements number 1 and 2 are true, then statement 3, the conclusion, must follow of necessity. If 1 and 2 are true, 3 has to be true. You want to run through it again? Number 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Like you, me, the microphone, my computer. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Number 2, the universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe being a subset of everything, the universe has a cause. So, is this reasonable? Well, let's look at statement number 1, that everything that begins to exist has a cause. Our common human experience tells us that things don't just appear spontaneously out of nowhere. They don't just pop into existence unbidden. Everything that we know from our entire experience living in the universe, living in the world as human beings, every single thing shows us that whatever it is that we're talking about that begins to exist must have a cause. Things don't just begin all on their own like that. Now, what you'll hear a lot of people say is that, well, in particle physics, there's a law that says that things do, in fact, pop into existence out of nothing. And this is called the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Well, that's not what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle shows us. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle merely says that for a given particle that already exists, you can't know its location and its rotation. You can't know both of those things at the same time because the fact of observing one changes the other. But that doesn't mean that when you're studying that particle, it just pops into existence all on its own. No, that doesn't happen. So it seems to be very reasonable to conclude that statement number one is true, that everything that begins to exist has a cause. But wait a minute, let's back up one more time here. People will say, well, what about God? What's the cause of God? Well, hang on a minute. We said that everything that begins to exist has a cause. We're not talking about a God that began to exist. The case that we're making is that God is eternal. And if God's eternal, he didn't begin to exist. He has always existed. Therefore, God does not require a cause. So that's statement one. Statement two, the universe has a cause. Okay, do we think that we have reason to believe that the universe has a cause? Well, here's the thing. Here we are. The universe exists. Therefore, we can conclude one of two things. Either A, the universe is eternal and it has always existed, or the universe began to exist at some point in the distant past. So, which is true? Well, we have a few things that we can point to, quite a few actually, that illustrate the notion that the universe cannot be eternal. So tell you what, let's go back to our PowerPoint right now. We're going to look at that real quickly here. And there's our cosmological argument. The next case that we're going to make here is that the universe is expanding. Now, the observable universe is 96 billion light years in diameter. However, if the universe were eternal, it would have been expanding eternally, and therefore the universe right now would not have a fixed size. The universe would be infinitely large. Do you grasp that? The universe has a fixed size. If the universe has been expanding forever and ever and ever, well, forever is a long time. Forever is eternity. So the universe can't have a fixed size. If it's been expanding eternally, it would be infinitely large. And we know that that is simply not true. So that's point number one, is that the universe is eternal. The universe is not eternal. The universe is of a fixed diameter. Therefore, since it's been expanding, we know that it cannot possibly have been expanding forever. Okay, guys, so the second reason we know that the universe cannot be eternal is the fact of Newton's second law of thermodynamics. What? All right, that's a big mouthful, but we're going to take a look at this. Newton's second law of thermodynamics is also called the law of entropy. And here's what it says. The universe has a fixed amount of energy. Remember Newton's first law? Matter and energy cannot be made or destroyed. So the universe has a fixed amount of energy. The second law says that energy is being used up. We are, in fact, running out of energy. And as a matter of fact, there's going to come a point when the universe experiences what they call heat death. That time when all the energy in the universe is used up and all the particles actually stop moving and everything gets cold and becomes lifeless. The universe is running out of energy. Now, how does that play into our argument that the universe cannot be eternal? Well, that's pretty simple. If the universe were eternal, and if the universe is running out of energy, the universe would have already run out of energy. But we're not out yet. We still have a lot left to expand. By the way, if the universe would have run out of energy by now, when would it have run out of energy? If the universe were eternal? Well, the answer is an eternity ago. We would have no energy right now to be creating this video, going to camp. The sun wouldn't shine. Nothing. Nothing would be happening. So that's the second reason why we know that the universe cannot be eternal. The third reason is this. It's Einstein's relativity equations. Now, Einstein's relativity equations, and you know the most famous one is E equals mc squared. These equations, and there's many more of them, have been proven to 5 decimal points. Now, this is no longer Einstein's theory of relativity. This is a fact of relativity. And as a matter of fact, one of the last things that confirmed that Einstein's theories of relativity are actually facts is the fact that in the last couple of years, we were finally able, for the first time ever, to measure gravity waves. And this was, in fact, predicted in Newton's relativity equations. So, there are many other arguments why we know that the universe cannot be eternal, some of them physical, some of them actually philosophical, but those 3 are enough to prove that the universe cannot possibly be eternal. Oh, by the way, getting back to Einstein for just a minute, Einstein realized the import of what his equations showed, that the universe had a beginning, and he was so troubled by that because he knew what it implied that he tried to get rid of that dynamic by creating something called the cosmological constant. Now, when you apply the cosmological constant to Einstein's equations, the beginning of the universe goes away. But unfortunately, what was later discovered by Max Planck and a few other people is that the cosmological constant was a goof, a mistake. The great Einstein divided by 0 in that equation. And as everybody, especially Zach, would know, dividing by 0, you don't do that. It's a big boo-boo. So anyway, there are our reasons why we know the universe is not eternal. So, statements 1 and 2 can reasonably be said to be true. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Let's go through the 3 points of the cosmological argument once again. Number 1, missed that there. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Number 2, the universe began to exist. Therefore, 3, the universe has a cause. So again, what kind of conclusions could we draw about the creator of the universe, or the creation of the universe, the cause of the universe, just from what we know about the universe itself? Well, let's look at that. Number 1, we know from the law of causation that the cause must be greater than the effect. What was the effect? The effect in creation was all of time, space, and matter. So we know that the cause of the universe has to be outside of time, space, and matter. So the cause must be timeless, spaceless, and when we say timeless, by the way, we mean eternal. Timeless, spaceless, and immaterial. Now, that's just the beginning. There are a few other things that we can conclude about the cause of the universe. That the cause must be all-powerful because of the enormity of what was created when the universe came into being. The cause of the universe must be all-knowing, very intelligent, because the universe is extremely complex. And number 3, the cause must be personal. Why do we say that? Well, because only personal beings have will, and only beings with will can create. Again, things don't just happen naturally. So those are some really excellent things that we can say about the cause of the universe. And what's this get us back to? Well, if the universe has a cause, and that cause is outside of time, space, and matter, by definition, that cause is not natural, because nature is composed of time, space, and matter. So the cause of the universe must be supernatural. That's right, supernatural, meaning outside of time, space, and matter. And again, we know that the creator of the universe, or the cause of the universe, is timeless or eternal, spaceless, immaterial, all-powerful, all-knowing, and personal. Now, can you name anything that possesses all of these qualities? Yep, sounds just like the God of the Bible, Yahweh. Now, this is just exactly what we would expect to find in science if indeed the Bible is true and God was the creator of the universe. The Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So what we see in nature is the evidence of that creation, and we have given that evidence a name, and what we call it is the Big Bang theory. Well, remember one thing. The Big Bang, as is strictly understood in science, is not a description of a cause. The Big Bang theory is the description of an effect. The Big Bang theory merely states that the universe did in fact pop into existence a number of years ago, all at once, and that nothing preceded it at all. So first there was nothing, and then there was something, and that something is what we call the Big Bang. Now, by the way, the Big Bang isn't a description, again, of a cause. This doesn't have to do with, as many people think, two particles just kind of banging together and causing the rest of the universe to exist. There was nothing, and then all of a sudden there was everything, and all that there was, all that was created, began from the tiniest point and burst forth into creation. That point didn't exist at all before the Big Bang, but then at some point in the eternal, well, not the eternal past, in the non-eternal past, the universe just sprang into being, and now we have everything that we have. So that's the topic for tonight, the cosmological argument. Make sure you review this video if you're unclear about anything, and please do check out the notes in the header of the video on YouTube for more information. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.